had all the money you ever needed, would you still work?
Definitely not.
Heck no.
Their loyalty spans are very, very short.
I've been laid off multiple times, and I'd only been at the position 3 months.
They just think my ideas are so absurd.
It comes across to me as, how do we do less work?
I think you guys are stubborn.
Yeah. Why would that not be the case?
For a lot of things that we're lazy.
I'm not sure you value how hard you have to work.
What's the worst thing about my generation?
All right, everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm Big Miklo, and today we got another awesome episode for you guys. I'm really enjoying these Gen Z versus Boomers videos that are going around the internet. I'm having a lot of fun with that. And today I'm gonna have a special guest joining me on the episode. Please let me know if you enjoy my guest, and I'll make sure to invite her on more episodes. I got 2 awesome videos for you guys I'm gonna break down. And if you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe the video. It really helps me out to push my content out there for more people to watch my videos. I'd really appreciate that. Thank you to everybody who's been tuning in. I definitely see you guys and I appreciate you. And without further ado, let's get to it.
Can Gen Z and baby boomers get along in the workplace?
They have
To
to.
find out, we paired 6 strangers back to back for an unfiltered conversation about work culture.
What misconceptions do you think people have about the way your generation works?
Well, I think the easy one is Gen Zers can be seen as lazy or not willing to work as hard.
And that technology is doing all the work for us.
There's definitely less value in working as hard. Nowadays, there's not as much incentive to work hard all the time. For one, companies treat people like numbers now more than ever. There's always the sense of you can be replaced at any time versus back in the day. I feel like there was a lot more value in growing within the company, and I felt like there was much more family-oriented business. So people got treated much more like family as opposed to just a number. So why would anybody, kill themselves for a job when they know that the very next day, if you were to die, you were just going to be replaced anyway? Like your job listing is going to be posted before your funeral, and that's a fact.
Which I don't think is the case. Kind of like a get in, get out mentality of like, I'm just here to get money and I don't care about anything else. I think it's just a little bit of a pushback against like companies that ask for a lot more work for the same amount of pay.
Exactly.
I don't feel like Gen Zers are lazy at all. I think they're full of ambition, but it's just in a different way. It's maybe more myopic. I don't know, not what's good for the company, but what works for me.
The boomer generation and older people tended to place more emphasis on work and position and promotions and those kinds of things.
I think the work-life balance is a little different now.
Oh, it's night and day different now. The amount of time people get now, or the amount of value people put on their downtime now versus back then, is insane. And I feel like as a millennial, we're that cross point of where people started to make that flip. I mean, it's kind of crappy to be stuck. I feel like entering the job market when I was younger, I had to pretty much nose to the grind, balls to the wall all the time. Anytime there was overtime, you had to take it. Pretty much anything the job ever asked, you had to do it. No questions asked. Stay late, come in early, doesn't matter. Personal life comes secondary versus now we're at the point where people are wondering whether it's worth it or not. And a lot of times based on pay, based on treatment at the job, it's not worth it.
And we were like growing up, we were able to see that in our parents and grandparents and just how much they worked and
parents just weren't around as much versus now. I feel like, I know for me, I make a huge emphasis on prioritizing how often I'm at home. That comes first. That's job number 1, and then my actual work is job number 2.
how much stress that they were under. And I think a lot of us just don't want the pressure of that.
We, as Gen Z, have a fear of being
There's no
given
benefit
way
to it,
too
that's
much
why.
if we express too much curiosity and intelligence, I guess. And so I understand where like our fear is with that.
I've seen that just as being female. Women feel like if they say no, that it's going to hurt their career. And so they say yes, 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 until they have way too much on their plate. It's very important to learn when to pull back.
Probably nothing drives a boomer more crazy than when a younger person grabs the mouse or grabs their phone and says, let me do this for you.
Someone said to me, no
Yep,
one would
that's the
expect
way
you
things
to
are
know
going
Excel
now.
as well as you do because of your age and your gender.
Really? They say that to your face?
Yeah, but it was just in fun. Gen Zers might not see that baby boomers do want to move forward with technology.
We should probably
There's such a resistance too as we get older to wanting to embrace new things. And technology is like the number one thing that people just, for whatever reason, are just allergic to wanting to learn, you know? So bring in the Gen Z guy where he's pretty much born with it in his hands. And yeah, scoot over. Let me show you how to do it real quick. And slowly but surely, that's how all the jobs are trending.
be a little more patient and understanding, like you said. Like, we grew up with this technology, and you guys, like, it came in the middle of your lives, and you've had to like adapt to it.
Do you believe loyalty exists in the corporate world?
No, I don't even have to let them finish. Everyone knows this isn't a thing anymore. Like I've just said, we are just numbers, and we as potential employees are understanding that more and more. So when it comes to loyalty, no, at the end of the day, we are giving as much loyalty as the companies are giving to us, and that's just the truth.
World.
Maybe less so in this day and age. Nowadays, it very much feels like this corporate greed.
I've never felt like I needed to be loyal to a company for any reason. Being loyal to a company can get you to places to an extent, like climbing up the corporate ladder or making connections.
But
or
at
keeping
what
the
cost?
connections you've had for a really long time.
It's not worth it.
I wouldn't sacrifice my own morals
Yep.
or my own wants and needs for a company's.
Maybe employees are now just an expendable resource to some of these.
Because then what's the reward by you being a loyal employee and moving up the corporate ladder? More work, and in a lot of cases, worse treatment. So why do it? Why?
Bigger corporations.
I go back to my earlier careers, and you really felt safe all the time. And as time
That's definitely not a
moved
thing anymore.
forward through the 90s and the dot-com bubble and all the other things that started to happen, it felt more and more like it was the corporations were less loyal, therefore we will be less loyal.
I feel like Gen Z feels that so hard. I've been laid off multiple times, and I'd only been at the position 3 months. It's that Gen Z worry of being exploited or cut off with no notice that it's like,
Oh yeah, that
I
happens
don't
all the
want to
time.
put my everything into it.
I have felt in the past when I've had to give a name and have someone laid off that I've been disloyal to that person.
Yeah.
It's painful.
I think Gen Z looks at layoffs as a lot more of an evil. You know, why can't that company be loyal to these employees? And I think boomers look at layoffs as we've got a business to run. If we're not solvent, if we don't get our expenses under control, we're not going to be around to allow anybody to have any jobs.
Job security is a hard and scary thing that a lot of people go through. Your job can now be taken over by AI. There's just
Oh
no
yeah, we haven't even got
guarantee
into how
that
many
your
jobs we're about to lose to that.
position is safe. I don't think people even have the opportunity to be loyal to a company if they even wanted to.
Do you think your generation has it easier than mine?
No. No, we're the ones that, walked uphill 10 miles in the snow to school.
I think as far as a career goes, I think
it's easier in the sense, especially in like the housing market. I think for a fact it's easier than now. We can't just have one job and it provide enough for, a whole family or anything like that anymore. That stuff all out the window. We need like 3 jobs and a side gig in order to account for anything, in order to afford a mortgage or anything like that.
boomers had it a bit harder than Gen Zs. I think there was more demand on them, on their time. It was so
Less options. I think that's what that means. Today we have so many options, all kinds of different work. If we just wanted a full-time job, if we wanted to do a 40-hour work week of just side gigs with Uber, Postmates, all those little on-app little side jobs, I think we can do that today now versus them. They don't have any. They never had any options like that.
So much less flexible.
I would argue that the job market is a little bit harder now. You know, like going to college and getting a degree, it doesn't pay off as much as it used to. These
At all.
entry-level jobs they can't get because they don't have the experience.
We went through a recession in
That's true.
1980 and 1981, but then we had the Great Recession in 07 and 08, and we were going, uh-oh, everybody's shutting down, there's no jobs, what are we gonna do? So I think every generation goes through these waves. Right now, I'd agree, the job market's a bit rough.
I do think people think that this generation has it easier because of all of the advancements, but I don't think it's easier. There's like this pressure to make 6 figures by 22 and graduate in 4 years, and you have.
That's all social media related. That is not a realistic. I don't know how many Gen Zers actually have that expectation on themselves, but that is not a real thing. 6 figures by the time you're 22 is just the smallest of the small percentage of people are actually doing that. So I mean, that's just all peer pressure made by social media. That's clearly what that is.
To do all these things while
Don't
you're
fall
young,
for
and
it.
I think that we're just always worried about not being good enough or not being on the right track.
Do you think companies owe their employees?
Also, 6 figures doesn't even. I don't feel like it's valued the same as what it used to be. 6 figures before 6 figures now is a fraction of what 6 figures used to feel like. What I think prior to just even 2020.
Anything beyond a paycheck?
Yeah, a paycheck is great, but you're telling me I can't take a day off because I'm tired or I'm sick. Like, I think sometimes employers think that they own you.
Yeah, he did not like that tired part.
And they forget that you're human. I just wish there was more of a work-life balance. And I think employers could aid to that by being a little bit more understanding and compassionate.
I think companies should prioritize and invest in their employees' mental health. I mean, I've heard of studies they've done in Europe where they did like a 4-day work week. And even though they had a whole extra day that they weren't working, their productivity statistically increased.
4-day work week, terrible idea, terrible idea.
Why?
Working is a good thing. You know, to think that, well, how do we taper it down? How do we do, it comes across to me as, how do we do less work? I don't think it's that good for society.
If I can
So he doesn't want a 4-day work week just because he doesn't like the idea of people wanting to work less. That's just an opinion. That's not followed by anything substantial or factual or anything. So I don't know. I'm all in with a 4-day work week and prioritizing mental health and what we do outside of our work more than our work.
work a 4-day work week and get just as much done as I would in a 5-day work week.
I would think you're a magician. If you get that done in 4 days and you tell me that you normally would have been 5 days, I'd take that 5th day and I'd say, okay, so now what could you get done? Well, you'd get done more. I don't think it's realistic to think.
And that's why nobody, I don't know if he owns a company or not, but that's why people are leaving companies that are ran like this. Because who's to say you couldn't just work 4 10s, 4 10-hour days? All adds up to the same 40-hour work week. What's the problem?
I could do as much in 4 days as I could do in 5 days.
Future employers expect you to get a lot of experience from previous jobs, and if they aren't willing to give you those experiences and throw you in the deep end, or at least teach you, mentor you a little bit, then there's not a lot to gain from that experience or that position.
Yeah, I would agree. A lot of the people I manage are entry level, and I feel like it's my job.
All right, surprise, my wife hopped in. I talked her into doing it.
The scope.
So what do you see the prompt, right? Do you think companies owe their employees anything beyond a paycheck?
Okay.
Any initial thought?
Initial thought,
Outside of a paycheck, do you think companies should be doing more?
yeah, as a corporate girly, I do think just based on the current work climate and what is expected of you, I think that yes, you should be provided things by work outside of your paycheck, such as my company does offer free yoga or workout, they have like sound bath meditations at the office. Like they have
wow.
all kinds of stuff. So I think like my biggest perk for work is working from home.
Right.
But if I did have to go into the office, like the things that they offer in the office are, I think,
So they kind of go beyond.
yeah. The company
you
that I
would-
work
you would
for is one
expect.
of the best companies to work for.
Right. That sounds like it with that.
Yeah. So, I mean, but I've also worked for a company that has had like the worst, you know,
All
like,
they provided was the paycheck.
yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Let's see what so it's kind of Gen Z versus the boomer.
Boomer. Okay. Got
Okay.
it.
Back to back.
Or whatever. I want to help them
Yeah.
get there. And I feel like that's what employers really do owe their employees besides the paycheck.
So I'm a hard yes that companies owe a lot more. If you look at what motivates employees, money and the paycheck are really far down on the list. So for somebody to feel valued at work, to feel that they get the recognition that they deserve, not only from their boss, but from their boss's boss.
Okay,
and
that's another
peers.
thing. I don't give a shit about your recognition.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit about your pizza party or the supposed
Award.
award. That means nothing to me.
Right.
That's
yeah.
not paying my bills. That's not like providing. I mean, yes, it is nice to hear that you're doing well at work, but do I need that? No.
How many times do you hear people, or at least I know for me, when I was a manager, I would hear, well, the morale's down, let's just throw them a pizza party. And for whatever reason, that was supposed to like
Pick people up.
fix everything. And at the end of the day, people were upset they weren't getting paid enough. They were underpaid and overworked. And that was the gist of
Yeah, and if
they wanted.
if you're going to overwork me and underpay me, then yeah, you need to be like giving me shit regularly.
Right.
I need to go to work expecting you to like buy me lunch every day or have available yoga sessions or
No, yeah.
like there
Yeah.
needs to be more than just if I'm spending 40 hours a week at work,
Yeah, you're going to get the bare minimum.
yeah.
And that'll be what's expected.
Is huge.
Just recognition or just making that known and nothing beyond that almost doesn't really mean much to me. If I'm looking at this
Exactly.
company and let's say that project I did made all this money to them.
Gen Z has been so by far the most vocal in all of this.
Right.
Being like, we don't get paid enough, so why should I care? I don't care about your awards. I don't care about your food or your donuts in the morning.
Right.
I just
Well,
want to get paid.
And I think that that's like the
Like,
difference.
good on them.
Right. The difference between generations is like what they see, like understanding, especially in the corporate world. And it seems like most of Gen Z is like anti-capitalism. You're just a cog in the wheel.
Yeah, a number.
Yeah. So
I feel like they're doing what we always thought, but they're doing it.
Exactly. And I'm all for it.
We're the
like,
we're the cross point. Like, we did it because that's what we were like. We're a lot of their kids, but we were thinking all these things that
yeah, this is
they're
ridiculous.
doing.
Right. Especially I'm busting my ass and I still can't buy a house.
Yeah,
I still
yeah.
spend $400 in groceries
Right.
a week.
Right.
That's not even like,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money. So,
Right.
yeah.
And Gen Z's like, what's the point?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I would almost want to see like a little piece of that.
One of the challenges with money is it is so short term. So if somebody comes and says, hey, here's $100 for that project that you completed, or $1,000, whatever it is, you're pretty happy, but you're happy for about a week, and then you spent the money and you've
No.
kind of forgotten about that.
No.
I think regular recognition, where inside
That's an old
my
school
boss
way of thinking.
values
Yeah.
what I do, he or she values the contribution that I make. I think that's something
Which is
that
so funny
creates
because
a whole lot more
boomers were famous for hating the everyone gets a trophy thing.
right.
And here he is saying like, oh, recognition.
All you need is a trophy. Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
what?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
loyalty between a company and an employee. Kind of going back to our original question, do we owe those employees something more than a paycheck? I absolutely think we do, and I think they're going to come to expect it more. And I think companies and people that manage teams need to step up and and deliver those things.
What motivates you more, money, passion, or stability?
Money.
The thing that motivates me more than anything else is seeing the people around me thrive. The passion of the people around me is what drives me.
At least at this point in my life, super easy, I'd jump to passion. I think that's the thing that from day one can be motivating to, the day they put you in the ground.
I agree to an extent. I think I want passion to be the driver, but the way that the cost of living is just so expensive, it's like I kind of have to put that aside and really just be money driven.
If I had more money, I could have a house. I feel like I could provide more for a family. I guess this is getting into kind of another topic, but I just think like my value as a man is somewhat tied to the amount of money I have.
Oh,
it just opens a lot of doors.
Especially today more than ever.
Right.
That's the male BBL is how successful you are online.
I think anybody, how successful you are online.
Well, I feel
Period.
like, because like in dating with like women, for example, especially today more than ever, the men are expected to, pretty much pay for everything. More so now than ever before. And then everyone's expected to make at least 6 figures, always. Like, especially off of dating apps, that's like, I want someone a certain height, certain like net worth kind of thing.
Right.
And for men, it's kind of like, what can you provide for me?
Yeah. So for me, I once had a therapist that had me do an exercise, and it was a bunch of like traits, things that could be important to you, and you have to narrow them down essentially.
Just in life or?
Yeah,
Oh,
like
okay.
what your core values are, what's important to you, like what drives you in life, right? Because I kind of had a hard time figuring that. Anyways, one of the things that I want the most in life is safety. I want to feel safe. I want to feel secure. I want stability.
Stability then, yeah.
Right. But to me, money almost equals stability.
It brings almost that. stability.
Right, because then with money you can buy a house. You don't have to worry about if you can buy groceries or if your car breaks down, can you get a new one or get it fixed? So that's stability.
Right.
And then
So money and stability.
that to me they go hand in hand kind of.
I can see that.
Yeah.
And ideally for me, when it comes to work, money and passion would be like the ultimate. If I
Right.
can turn a passion and get the money that I want,
Right.
that's
And
a happy.
for me, a huge turning point in my point of view was once I realized that I only have this job to pay the bills. That's
Yeah.
what it's for.
Yep.
It's not here to it's not shaping who I am. It's not my passion, but the ability to be able to work your passion, I think, is what everybody strives for.
Right.
But I think that in order to work your passion, you have to have money, stability.
And the age gap just kind of like almost like is a direct proof of that. This guy most likely already has his house, close to retirement. He's like close to like not needing to worry about money.
Right. But he also went straight out of high school, straight into the university, didn't have to go into debt to get a college degree.
Presumably, yeah.
Right. Went straight into the workforce, was able to purchase a house for $100,000.
Yeah, most likely, yeah.
some crazy, and then worked his way up into the corporate where, there's only so many seats that can be held so high up.
Yeah. Right.
So, and you get to a certain point where you're not necessarily doing the actual work anymore.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, that's what motivates you for sure. That's
I'm leaning
I think
more
they're all-
towards the Gen Z for sure.
oh yeah. The Gen Z so far has been relatable.
Spot on. Yeah, way more relatable.
That I may not have access to right now.
Oh, I like this one. This is a fun question. You ready to rock?
I'm scared.
No, don't be scared. I got you. In the most unfiltered, uncensored way possible, what's the worst thing about my generation?
Being unwilling to change, like unable to like adapt to new times. I think the I don't want to learn how to do anything on the computer. I don't want, I want my phone to just be like the bare minimum. You know what I mean? I don't feel like they want to really get with how the world is changing. That's my initial feeling on, especially when I was a manager. and all of our stuff like report writing was no longer done by hand.
Right.
Yeah, I would get all the sarcastic comments about the computer and how lame it is, and like back in my day, we did it by hand, kind of thing. And I'm kind of like, well, that's not where we're at.
Right.
And it's way better this way, way faster.
Yeah, I'm noticing that gap at work. We have people that are all age ranges, and the younger people are using ChatGPT to assist them with like writing emails or, you know, XYZ. And the older people are like, I don't know how to do that. And it's like literally you just ask the question in ChatGPT and it literally just does it. Like
people use it like Google now.
Yeah.
And
so interesting.
yeah, she looks like she's about to load up and say something pretty funny.
Yeah, I wanna know.
Okay. This is no offense to anyone in specific. It's very hard to get through to some baby boomers. They can be very, very hard-headed, and they're not willing to acclimate to this new generation.
The ones I've interacted with don't see that other people can work differently, live their life differently, and thrive.
They just think my ideas are so absurd.
If I had to answer with a criticism,
It's just the amount of time in front of a screen, I would say is the worst thing.
I'm not sure you value how hard you have to work to get to where you want to get to.
My answer,
That working hard thing, I think, is like not synonymous with success anymore.
No.
That's not a thing. So
No, because
that's why.
everything is so excuse me. Everything is so meritocracy or like
Who you know. Like who you know instead of like I worked
exactly.
the hard. No, it's 'cause I
Whose
already know.
ass you kissed the
Yeah,
hardest. You know, especially in the corporate world, there's so many people that are like better suited for jobs or for positions, and then they get passed up or
all the time.
you know, and then the taboo of like being able to ask for more money, more pay or whatnot. Like,
That's not even a thing anymore.
Yeah.
Asking your boss for a raise is pretty.
talking to people about
it's
their
laughable.
pay.
Yeah, it's laughable now.
Yeah.
isn't to nitpick an element of something that is done differently than the way I do it. It is in the idea that I'm not convinced that the generation and the people that I'm speaking of, and again, same thing with you, I'm speaking in generality, right? Believes that they can do more, believes it's not about that if they can
just don't
find
want
a way
to.
to take a bigger risk,
They don't want to do more.
that they can
Right.
just
There's no
fly.
Because there's
benefit.
no
And
payout.
absolutely change everything because of the way they use technology and because of the things that they do. Just the beginning of that pursuit, even when it goes completely awry and completely wrong, is worth it so that you're never second guessing it and you don't leave this life with any regret.
Said a whole lot of nothing to me.
Yeah.
Hey,
How's it going?
nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay.
Hello. You are not what I imagined at
That's
all.
funny.
Hello. You're so pretty. I love your hair.
I assume that you're comfortable and you should focus on, you know, these deep value things when at your age, this is kind of Maslow's hierarchy. You know, you're looking at, but wait a second, like, am I going to make enough money to have a viable career? Am I going to be able to buy a house? Can I buy a engagement ring for my girlfriend?
Yeah.
Can I buy groceries?
I think
Yeah, the
that,
engagement
you
ring
know,
is the last thing
for
people are caring about right now.
older,
People aren't even
you need
getting
to pay
married.
They're not even having
attention
sex
to that.
anymore.
They're not even drinking alcohol.
Great to meet you.
No, they're not.
Kids are hard, like just straight up hard.
I get a lot of flack and a lot of judgment for choosing not to have kids.
I don't care if you have kids. I don't care if you don't. Like, your job is to make the company X amount of dollars.
Well, if I look at it in that way, then I would go over.
Come on over.
Come on over.
Parents get more flexibility while non-parents pick up the slack? We brought them face to face to find out.
Parents get more leniency at work than non-parents. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
Yes.
Actually, very interesting.
I think inherently as a parent, I communicate my needs more. My needs are more than just my own needs. My needs are my kids' needs. My needs are my wife's needs, and the needs need to be taken care of. Like if I leave work, that's usually why. I don't necessarily think that parents should have more leniency. I just think that they do because it's more of a vocal thing that's talked about.
I look at my team demographic and my future team demographic and think about needs as a whole. I don't think I've ever put them in a parent, non-parent category. Just because you don't have kids doesn't mean that there aren't people that you're responsible for or trying to take care of. And so I think, not to say that that doesn't exist in the workplace, but I think as a founder and as an executive, I take the responsibility to make sure that all of my people are taken care of, regardless of situation.
There tends to be.
I just think that's way less common. I think everyone expects that if there's going to be like overtime, you don't have any, you're like, let's say you're 21, whatever, fresh, like you have nothing else to do. You should be staying. And I feel like that's like, mind you, I have a blue collar job. So I guess I understand like that work environment's a little different, but it's kind of more understandable when the guy who has to pick up his kids from school has a little bit more on his plate to do after work than the person who's childless, you know.
Right. Or
So I'd say like that you're expected to pick up, you know, I don't know. There's just more expected from them who are childless and leniency given to ones who are parents in that sense.
Right.
From what I see, you know.
Right. I mean, but non-parents could have pets, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. Or
Sure. They can. But I still think you would give the benefit. You would still kind of look at the ones who are parents more like, okay. And then kind of eye roll a little bit like, oh, okay, yeah, go ahead, feed your dog.
Dad, what other side is called from Tyrell?
The stormtroopers?
Jedis and...
I talk after the guy with the white suit.
Lightsaber?
No, the white suits.
Oh.
Those are stormtroopers.
Yeah.
But there's stormtroopers.
Okay.
This assumption that as, let's say, a non-parent, because of the fact that you don't have kids, that you have no other responsibilities in the world. A couple years ago, we lost my father-in-law, and it was a really intense situation where by the time we actually finally figured out that he was riddled with cancer, to the time he passed away was 2 weeks. My colleagues at work was just kind of like, why does she need to go to Huntsman again to see him? You know, it was that kind of attitude. And so that's why I'm just kind of like, we have to really take a person's full life into consideration, whatever that looks like, whether it involves kids or not.
Everyone should be held to the same standard, no matter their family situation. In or out in 3, 2,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think standards adjust all the time. And very often if there's a lot of situations where it's like, I know what is going on in someone's life. I'm not gonna press them or hold them accountable. And so I'm gonna hold them to a different standard than I would someone else on the same team.
So I think actually we might be having common ground here. When I say everyone should be held to the same standard, that includes the flexibility to be able to handle things when they come up in their lives. I think where you get into trouble is saying there's a certain class of people who have access to that kind of flexibility or are allowed to deliver at lower standards than other people.
So I'm in sales, and the standard is the standard.
Yeah.
That's
Standard
it.
is money.
Quota.
The standard is money.
That's how it is in
exactly.
most
The
places.
standard is quota,
just
and
a
it's
number.
like, I don't care if you have kids, I don't care if you don't. Like, your job is to make the company X amount of dollars, right? So for me, it's like your standard is here, and if it's not met, you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're not doing what you're paid to do. It doesn't matter whether you have kids or not.
When I see in the workplace, there's multiple types of standards, right? You have like the quota, you have the amount of hours you're supposed to work. But in my experience, I worked with a developer who, his wife worked at the hospital during the day, but he needed to watch the kids during the day, so he'd work really early hours. So he wasn't doing the 9 to 5 like everyone else.
Was his work product still
It was still being, but the standard of having to work 9 to 5, right? So there's different types of standards in the workplace.
To me, I feel like the standard is the outcome.
True, yeah, I see that.
And that's it.
Yeah.
Right, like the outcome of what your job is supposed to be, like depending on if you're in sales or if you're in dev, right? Your standard is to create what you're supposed to create and not suck at it. My number is not, it has nothing to do with the hours I work. It has everything to do with the dollars that I sell.
Yeah.
And it isn't fair, but sometimes I think people should suck less.
Well, if I look at it in that way, then I would go over.
Come on over.
Because it is, you're right, it is the outcome, but there's different.
Welcome.
Yeah, so.
I'm curious too, like, do you think
just
it's okay
didn't wanna
for people
suck
to
more,
perform
so
at a
he-
lower level depending on if they have kids or not? That's what I think it is.
I don't think it's okay for a long period of
Then
time.
come on over.
For a long period of time. But I think for short seasons, I think it's acceptable.
Okay, cool. You might be able to have something going on right now, but in a month, get your together. It can't last forever.
Yeah.
So
and I would agree with that as well.
You see,
And
that's why I decided to put the kids in prime time this year, was because I have a standard at work that I needed to be able to meet, and I wasn't.
Wait, so what's prime time for anyone who might not know?
The after school program, so that my kids are at school longer.
Right.
So I put them in there so that they were at school longer, so that I didn't have to worry about them being home while I'm working.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a challenge for a lot of at-home parents that work from home. So, understandable.
I think it's just. I think just where the holdup is because the standard is also different. Like I may have 2 people doing the exact same job, but I pay one $50,000 and another one $100,000. Like I'm gonna expect more from the one I'm paying $100.
True.
Clear and simple.
Having kids requires you to sacrifice career ambitions. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, to an extent. Yeah, I think so. Because there's like certain jobs you can no longer do that's like conducive to having a healthy family.
I mean, right. There are travel nurses that I know that their kids live in one state and they take travel contracts, elsewhere and then go home for a little bit and then, or maybe fly back home on the weekends, the long weekends that they have while they're on the travel contract. But I mean, what that means is that then you have somebody else essentially raising your child.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, you're making the sacrifice of being able to make a lot of money in a short period of time. So,
what do you value?
Right.
Money or
right?
Your kids are only kids.
And I mean, possibly
so
working that could mean in the long term having more stability. Maybe later at a later time you don't have to do travel contracts because you've saved enough or you have bought your house or blah blah blah.
Right.
So there's a lot of factors I think that go into career ambitions, and I think that it's based on what your standard is. Like for us, we have a nuclear family where we have both parents and children in the same house, and it works for us, So I mean, I can't judge somebody else's.
Yeah, and my job may at times require us to travel, and I lean more to the side that I don't really want to do that.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I tried it, and it was a couple weeks that I was kind of home every weekend, and I didn't like it. The money to me isn't the priority. My family is.
Right.
So that in a sense could be a sacrifice. I'm sacrificing that paycheck because.
I mean, but there are people who have full-blown parent duties that have multiple children, and they are full-time student working, doing whatever you got to do
in that sense,
to get your ambitions.
So my wife, we want to have kids, but growing up she always wanted to be a police officer. It was her dream ever since till recently, where we're like, we should have kids. We can't just live on a police officer salary, and I can't just stay home and watch the kids, because being a police officer, that's a lot of hours, and they're crazy hours. They're not very predictable. And so she had to give up that dream. So yeah, I'm full on this side.
Sacrifice is different than ambition. My career is really important to me. It's where I get fulfillment. I really need that brain. It makes me a better parent. to be working and to have a career, to have that focus. It's good for my kids to see that. And I don't think I'm required to give up that ambition just because I became a parent.
I feel like there's valid points to what you guys have over there, but they're not as valid as ours. So
he said he's a
kicker on the
salesman.
football team, and I was very good. Do I personally think, and this sounds so stupid coming out of my mouth, do I think I could have played in the NFL as a kicker? Yes, I do.
As a kicker,
and it sounds
okay.
dumb. But the reality is like I was good and I know I was good and I still regret not doing that, but I sacrificed it for my children.
Is your ambition given up or is it just redirected into another place?
It's not necessarily redirected because there's still this like massive
That's what he wanted to do.
And
You
I
can't
still
redirect
feel
what you
it. I think
wanted
it was
to do.
Matt Gay, who he played for the Rams, if someone can.
Yeah.
I literally was as good as he is. And I remember watching it
Matt
while
Gay's
he
a
won the
great
Super
kicker.
Bowl, and I was like,
Big
bastard.
words, right?
He's a good kicker.
Right. But I mean,
And that's how, like, literally,
I have
that's how
I have an uncle who was well on his way to playing pro baseball and gave it up to have a family. But I mean, baseball is a tough schedule. I mean, to be away from your
I feel
family.
like all the professional sports.
Right. So, I mean, it's very interesting because there are obviously professional players who have children.
Right.
You know, so.
Right. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of them are healthy. And the ones that we see that are a little weird, like Michael Jordan's kid, for example, greatest NBA player of all time, Marcus Jordan, he's always in the news for some weird stuff that he's doing.
Oh, yeah, for being,
But on the flip side, arguably the other greatest player of all time, LeBron James, probably has one of the most, at least on the outside looking in, healthiest looking families.
Right.
You know, in the public, eye. So
Right. But I mean, how much...
it's a risk.
Right. And I think that also your family life is dependent on how much you put into your family life.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like your family life isn't going to be peaches and cream if you're not doing anything about
Whether
it.
you're home or away.
Whether you're home or away. And
That's
I mean,
fair.
2025, there are ways to be involved even if you're not home.
Yeah, it's true. So I guess it doesn't require you. Having kids doesn't require you to sacrifice.
No, I think that...
Because that's the prompt, I guess. The
Right.
original prompt.
Right. I mean, because to me, if you were really like dedicated, if it was really that was your ambition, that was like the only thing that you were meant to do, then there's nothing that you would sacrifice.
And you could do it. You would do it.
Yeah, exactly.
And hopefully, parenting is somewhere up on that hierarchy where you make that a priority
To
as
me,
well.
yeah, because you are the only person that holds yourself back.
Because at the end of the day, you play your game, you still get to go home.
Right.
And if I understand, maybe you get, a professional athlete get traded a lot, different cities, different states. But if family is really important to everybody, then they're willing to travel with you, and at the end of the day, yeah, it sucks. You got to move a lot. But on the flip side, you got a professional athlete dad who's, hopefully life is good at home.
Right.
But he's there every day
Right.
after practice.
Right.
Studying at home. You know what I mean? Like, there's ways to do it, but
Because also what kind of...
it's not a requirement, I
Right.
guess.
Yeah. Anywho.
I felt, and it was like, and then I looked at my kids and I'm like, you bastard. I didn't say that.
See, for me, I actually feel like my kids increased my ambition. So I feel like getting married and having kids forced me to work harder to provide for them in some capacities.
Easy to say
And-
because you're a man. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's true to a fact because my wife,
That's a good
we
point.
chose to have kids, and just because of society purposes, she was the default parent to taking care of them, and I was the default providing.
So the reason why I switched was the phrasing and the way I understood the question now. Being in sales, it is hard to take paternity because you aren't necessarily given the relief that you would like, right? There's quota relief, but your mortgage still has to be paid. We had a preterm scare where our son was gonna come preterm labor, so we were trying to figure it all out, and I was stressed out of my mind. But that week in the hospital was one of my best weeks ever as a sales individual. The reason behind it was the drive and the ambition to take care of the little guy that was on his way.
I get a lot of flack and a lot of judgment for choosing not to have kids. And people say, well, it's because you're ambitious. No, I could do both. Would my family life look a little bit different? Would I have to have a nanny? Would I, all of these things? Yes, but I don't have to do anything. And I don't have to sacrifice anything that I don't want to.
Non-parents are expected to always be available in or out in 3, 2, 1.
I'd say like the old corporate
Yeah.
mindset. Yeah. I mean,
the Gen Z
Yeah.
corporate
For me,
mindset.
like, as an
Nope.
engineer, I've seen young engineers come out of college, and depending on the company, like they're always like, "Okay, you got to be working like 9 hours a day, just coding away, and don't even think about what other things they have in their life."
I just don't think I have a really good idea as a non-parent because I've always been a parent in a professional work setting. I don't think everybody should be available always. I personally don't live to work. I work to live. And I'm gonna be off the clock at times when I need to be. And I think that's more important than anything, whether it's for my family or for my personal development. And I think that's what a company should be able to do too. I think that's a difference between working in a great company and a mediocre one.
I think there's that assumption, though, in some organizations that, oh, if a person doesn't have children, then they're obviously going to be more available than somebody who does. And that is not fair.
You just get known as the non-parent. You almost get a tag on you, and then they're just like constantly going to you for different things. You feel obligated, right? Because you want to show up constantly, but then they don't understand the implications of that, and then there can be burnout or resentment or whatever that looks like. So yeah, it should just be just something that's a little bit more mindful.
What's stopping people from just claiming that they have kids if they don't?
to their boss, just one-on-one.
Yeah.
I don't think anything. I mean, it's just a weird thing to lie about, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
Other than that.
But I mean, if I notice that, you know, people are getting preferential treatment because they happen to be a parent, then like, oh yeah, oh little Johnny, I never told you I had a kid. You know,
That's
like
fair. I mean, I had a job where people would get preferential treatment with their breaks if they were smokers, and I
Right.
contemplated smoking, so I can get extra fucking breaks.
I mean,
'cause
shit, might as
wasn't
well
fair.
just hold the cigarette. You
yeah,
know,
I'll
like,
just hang out there, hold a cigarette, hold a vape or something,
Yeah.
and I can get an extra couple breaks in like all the other guys that do it.
crazy. Yeah.
So nothing. Just a personal if you want to or not.
Among the workplace.
Parental leave for parents ends up being a penalty for everyone else. In or out in 3, 2, 1.
This depends how you see it, but I mean,
Yeah.
Ultimately,
I
work-
think
couple
it
jobs
depends
ago,
on
I
how
was working
big
for
your company
Costco.
is.
yeah.
How many people are like when I worked in corporate call center insurance, fuck you guys, I'm taking my maternity leave. You know what I mean?
Right.
But when it's like my job is dependent on if somebody else has to like legit cover me, then I like definitely think about taking time off before.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah. And I think like I feel like when parents do take paternity leave or whatever, the rest of the team does got to pick up the slack, and I got to see that a lot when I was a manager. Obviously, the managerial team's a lot smaller. We cover our certain shifts and we overlap certain times. So
Yeah.
if someone's missing, it only makes sense that some of us have to make arrangements in some way, pick up reports, pick up paperwork, whatever, that the other one's no longer there to file. So, I mean, it is what it is. I didn't necessarily I wasn't upset about it, but mind you, I knew that when my time came, or if I had, you know, a kid
Yeah.
during this time, they would do the same for me.
Right, because really, I think that we don't have enough maternity, paternity time
Sure, I
in
mean-
America. So, I mean, I think that,
Right.
you know, like that time is not long enough.
But for
period.
the ones that don't have kids, if you see it as a penalty,
I mean,
sure, it can be.
Right, but I
but-
mean, your bonus is that you don't fucking have kids. So.
Sure, yeah. But I mean, that could be bad. Some people sometimes want kids.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, so it's kind of,
Right.
it's just all how you see things, you know?
You do qualify for time off if you adopt a child. So you do get bonding time if you do adopt children.
That's interesting. That's
yeah.
cool.
So, yeah.
Got people adopting just so they can get 6 weeks off.
Shit. Millie Bobby Brown just adopted a baby.
Did she really?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
She's only 21. And she
I
adopted.
mean, she definitely has the resources to get help. So,
Exactly.
with
The
that
money equals
yeah.
stability, you know?
So, I mean, I get it.
Yeah.
And when I was in the salary role, if you have a kid, you get 6 weeks off. And I had a kid 6 days before like the biggest merchandise move of the entire year. And in my role, like I was the one in charge, and I felt terrible because I knew like not being there was going to affect the entire team and that entire process.
I think it is above and beyond critically important that there is, a respectful, parental leave in place, because obviously our federal sucks. So that it comes down to, company by company. And I think that because it's something that you are planning for, then that means it's something that you need to plan in and amongst your entire team so that nobody feels like a penalty, for lack of a better word.
I'm here because, again, thinking about the sales aspect, like the only person that it hurts in sales is the person that is on parental leave. Therefore, when I think about it on another level as a CEO, you are penalized no matter what when someone leaves. Period.
Yeah. Once you go higher up,
in our
it makes
organization over the
sense.
past year, we've had so
But
many
that's
babies.
the trade-off
I think we
of being
calculate-
the CEO.
No, it is. Yeah.
Yeah. There's like you're the top dog. You're making the most money probably in this company, so you got to pick up the slack sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that's the assumed responsibility.
Right.
Is it still a penalty? I think so.
Okay. Yeah.
Did that we were losing almost 2 years worth of labor inside one calendar year from all of the team members that were out on parental leave. Where I come down on is penalty wise is that to me is a leadership and management issue, bar none. So many of us run super lean inside of our organizations, and like one person being out is really rough. But that to me means you as a leader need to find the resources, need to figure out how you are going to make up that deficit so that everyone else on the team isn't carrying the penalty.
The question was, is everyone penalized? When I hear that you're missing out on 2 years of labor, your shareholders are penalized, the owners are penalized, any equity owners penalized. So you are missing out. To use the example of my 2 team members that are about to go on leave a month apart from each other, I have 2 options. I can either put more load on the existing team members so that they can come back and have a role and more opportunity, or I backfill them and I'm that garbage employer that says, sorry, there's no spot for you. And so then in that case, they're penalized. And so someone will unfortunately lose in the leave game.
Okay, got me.
Yes.
I'm back here.
Bunch of flip-floppers.
Strong.
So my perspective as an engineer, I can't talk to like sales or like a CEO, but like when an engineer or someone comes and say, hey, I'm having a kid in 8 months or so, we can plan ahead of time, but it's like there's an issue where with
He just
software
wanted to
that
get away from
sometimes
her
it can
holding
break
on to him.
unexpectedly.
Yeah, that was
So,
weird, right?
Yes, you can.
I was literally thinking,
I think
why
that's
is-
all that was.
Yeah.
Pop up.
He was getting a little too
Then
frisky
everyone
there.
else on the team has to be like, okay, we got to figure out this issue. So.
I'm not moving.
You're asking good. How about that?
I'm just so used to standing, just.